For years, Jana Duggar was known as the steadfast, serene heart of the Duggar family. While her younger siblings married and had children in quick succession, Jana remained, always smiling, always serving, always the quiet backbone of the sprawling household. Dubbed the Cinderella Duggar by fans, she was admired for her grace and independence, though whispers and rumors followed her wherever she went. But behind closed doors, far from the spotlight and speculation, Jana Duggar was living a secret that would soon change everything. It began nearly 2 years ago when Jana made a bold move, purchasing her own $275,000 home just a few miles from the family compound in Tontitown, Arkansas. At the time, the public chalked it up to a long overdue step toward independence. But what few knew was that the modest but beautifully renovated farmhouse would become the sanctuary for the most personal journey of her life. Jana had fallen in love. It wasn't the whirlwind courtship the Duggar name was famous for. It was quiet, gentle, grown not in front of cameras or public declarations, but in shared conversations, simple walks, and silent understanding. The man she loved wasn't a celebrity, but a childhood friend who had returned to Arkansas to help with his family's small business. They had reconnected over faith, gardening, and a shared love of slow, intentional living. He wasn't flashy, but he was kind. And for Jana, that kindness meant more than 1,000 flowers. Their relationship stayed private, by choice. After witnessing the relentless scrutiny her siblings had faced, Jana decided to protect her love. But life, as it often does, had other plans. One warm spring afternoon, Jana stood barefoot in her backyard garden, planting herbs, when she felt a flutter in her stomach, subtle, strange, unforgettable. Days later, her world shifted again. She was pregnant. Her first instinct was to panic, not because she didn't want the baby, but because of the world she came from. A world that didn't allow for nuance. A world that believed women should only become mothers through marriage and within strict guidelines of purity and approval. But Jana didn't feel shame. She felt awe. "I knew in that moment," she later wrote in her private journal, "that this life growing inside me wasn't a mistake. It was a miracle." The months that followed were filled with quiet transformation. She worked with a trusted midwife and doula, opting for an intimate home birth within the safety and serenity of her cottage. Her sisters Duggar and Jessa, both now living more independent lives, offered support from afar. She kept a video diary, documenting her pregnancy, not for the public, not for ratings, but for her child, to show them one day how much they were wanted. Her $275,000 home became more than just property. It became a sacred space. Jana filled it with calming colors, soft music, and scripture written in chalk on her walls. Every room reflected intention and love. And then, one crisp December night, her water broke. She labored in the glow of soft lanterns and essential oils, surrounded by trusted women and the gentle hum of hymns. No cameras, no press, just raw, beautiful life in motion. After hours of labor, she welcomed a healthy baby girl into the world. She named her Eliana Hope, meaning "My God has answered." Tears streamed down Jana's cheeks as she held her daughter for the first time. "I waited my whole life to feel this kind of love," she whispered, her voice cracking with joy. The next few weeks passed in peaceful bliss. But as with all things Duggar, peace couldn't remain a secret forever. A local photographer spotted Jana at the farmer's market, her newborn nestled in a sling across her chest. Within days, tabloids erupted. Jana Duggar baby bombshell. Secret pregnancy stuns Duggar nation. $275,000 home birth and a baby named Hope. The world, hungry for drama, speculated endlessly. Who was the father? Was she married in secret? Did Jim Bob know? Was this a rift in the Duggar dynasty? But Jana didn't respond with panic. She released a single statement. "My daughter, Eliana Hope, was born into love, faith, and truth." My journey has been private by choice, but not by shame. I chose peace over approval, and I'm at peace with that." The response was mixed. Critics lashed out, supporters cheered. Some questioned her choices, while others applauded her strength. Inside the Duggar family, reactions were quiet but deeply felt. Michelle, ever the maternal presence, visited her daughter's cottage with tears and tenderness. "You're still my Jana," she whispered, rocking Eliana slowly. "You always will be." Jim Bob struggled at first. His world had been built on principles that no longer held up under the complexity of human hearts. But over time, even he softened, his granddaughter melting away what dogma had once hardened. And her siblings, they rallied. Jinger posted a simple photo of Eliana's tiny feet with the caption, "Love always wins." Jessa flew in to bring casseroles and baby clothes. Even Joanna, usually quiet on social media, wrote, "She's stronger than anyone ever knew." Today, Jana lives openly with her daughter. She doesn't seek headlines or fans. Her Instagram remains private. But occasionally, she shares snippets of their life. Eliana in the garden, sleeping on her chest during church, giggling under the cherry trees Jana planted the year she moved in. She speaks at women's retreats, not about scandal, but about grace, about how sometimes the most faithful thing you can do is follow peace, even when it leads you away from what's expected. Jana Duggar didn't break her silence for fame. She broke it for freedom. And in doing so, she discovered that the most sacred journeys are the ones walked with quiet courage. Mornings in Jana Duggar's home had taken on a rhythm as gentle and sacred as a hymn. The scent of lavender diffused into the air, soft lullabies played from the corner speaker, and sunlight filtered through gauzy white curtains, casting golden shadows on Eliana Hope's bassinet. Motherhood had changed Jana, not in the way the world expected, not with chaos or scandal, but with quiet revelation. Each day she spent with her daughter peeled back another layer of the woman she had once been. Dutiful daughter, silent sister, caregiver, stand-in mom, always giving, rarely receiving. Now, with Eliana nestled in her arms, she was simply mom. And that, she realized, was the most powerful title she'd ever held. The home she'd purchased for independence had become her sanctuary. With each passing week, she added small touches, hand-sewn curtains, custom bookshelves, a reading nook with embroidered pillows that read, "Grace lives here." The $275,000 farmhouse was more than property. It was a metaphor. For years, she had lived in the homes of others, doing what was expected, sacrificing her space, her desires. Now, for the first time, every corner of her home was a reflection of her, a life built on her terms. But even peace, when earned in solitude, invites questions. The whispers hadn't stopped. Fans speculated about the father. Paparazzi hovered near grocery stores. Christian gossip blogs dissected every Instagram post from the Duggar siblings, searching for signs of division or coded messages. But Jana remained silent, gracious but firm. She had made a pact with herself. The man she loved would not become a character in someone else's narrative. His name was Samuel Grayson. They'd met as children, lost touch in adolescence, and reconnected just before the world turned upside down. He had been a missionary overseas, gentle-eyed and soft-spoken, a man of few words but immense thoughtfulness. When they met again at a mutual friend's wedding, something unspoken bloomed between them. He admired her integrity. She admired his humility. Their love wasn't loud. It was steady, like rain soaking into roots. He had proposed, quietly and without spectacle, months before Eliana was conceived. Jana had said yes, but just as they were preparing to go public with their engagement, Samuel's father had a sudden stroke, and he had to return to Honduras to manage the family mission for an indefinite time. The wedding was postponed, and then life intervened. When Jana found out she was pregnant, they cried, separately over phone calls and video chats. She wanted to wait for his return. But borders were closed and months passed. They decided she would stay in Arkansas, where she had medical support and family. Samuel would visit as soon as he could. Their love, though tested, never broke. And now, 9 months later, the time had come. It was a cloudy afternoon in early spring when Jana stood barefoot in her garden, cradling Eliana on her hip as a gray SUV pulled into the driveway. Her breath caught. He stepped out, taller than she remembered, his eyes the same soft brown. He carried a canvas bag in one hand and a wooden rattle in the other. For a moment, neither spoke. Then he said, "She has your eyes." Jana smiled, tears brimming. "And you're calm." Samuel crossed the garden in 3 long steps, wrapped them both in his arms, and the ache of a year melted into joy. That night, as Eliana slept between them, they whispered about the future, about the wedding they never had, about co-parenting and partnership, about building not just a family, but a life, one marked by purpose, not performance. Word spread quickly through the Duggar inner circle. Samuel was introduced to the family one Sunday after church. There were questions, of course, some awkward silences, but the children adored him. Michelle hugged him long and hard. Even Jim Bob, who had struggled with Jana's decision to keep the pregnancy private, extended a handshake. "It's not the path we expected," he said, "but it's clear you love her, and that means something." Jana didn't need approval, but the blessing felt like a weight lifted. Within a few months, the world knew his name, but the focus shifted from scandal to love story. The headlines changed. Jana Duggar reunited with father of her child, wedding plans in the works. A Duggar sister rewrites the rules, inside Jana and Samuel's quiet romance. They held a private wedding under the cherry blossoms on Jana's property. A small group of friends and family gathered around as they exchanged vows barefoot in the grass. Eliana, wearing a white lace dress and a flower crown, cooed softly in Samuel's arms. There were no TV crews, no producers, no staged moments. Just truth, and laughter, and a life reclaimed. In the months that followed, Jana launched a podcast called Grace Lives Here. It wasn't about controversy or her family legacy. It was about identity, purpose, and faith that grows outside the lines. She invited mothers, faith leaders, therapists, and artists to speak. Her voice, gentle, firm, and full of wisdom, became a balm for many women who felt invisible in religious spaces. Episode titles like "Choosing Yourself Isn't Rebellion," "Faith After Shame," "When God Leads You Somewhere New," sparked deep conversation. She received thousands of messages from women saying, "You gave me permission to breathe." Today, Jana's story is no longer one of silence or secrets. It's one of strength through softness, of redemption through truth, and of a woman who refused to be defined by timelines or tradition. Every morning, she walks with Eliana through the garden, her bare feet in the dew-soaked grass, her heart light. And when Eliana, now toddling, reaches for her hand and says, "Mama," Jana smiles. Because in that moment, every painful decision, every risk, and every moment of solitude was worth it.